Hey guys, welcome back to RMA Garage. I'm Mark and I'm glad you joined us today. In this video, we're going to be continuing working on my son's 2015 YZ250FX, and this is going to be a really short video. We're going to be working on the clutch lever. We're going to be taking the clutch lever off. It's still going to be connected, but we're just going to lubricate the pivot point, make sure all the dirt is out from underneath the boot, take the other handguard off, and really put it back together, nothing crazy. We're also going to take the handlebars off, check them, make sure that they are not cracked or bent, have any problems of any sort, and then put it back together, and then we would be finished with the handlebar assembly. All right guys, so let's get to it. So we're going to start with taking the handguard off, and in our previous video, this can sometimes be a little tricky. This one doesn't seem to be too bent, but it is a little tight. I think the bolt is bent. All right, so we'll start with that. I always like to thread the bolt in just so we some place to keep it. It really doesn't get in the way of anything. All right, moment of truth. Is this going to slide right out, or is this going to be give us a fit here? Hey, look at that. It came right out. All right, so we're zoomed up a little bit more. We're going to take the cable tie off for the wiring for the kill switch. And then we'll take the kill switch off. Now this is the same way as a starter. It's got the two halves and the bolt, and it basically attaches the same way. This one's not as dirty, but we'll give it a little bit of cleaning. Now we're going to take the lever off of the bracket, and I'm not going to loosen this up. I am going to take this bolt out. Now this bolt has a nut on the other side, and that size nut is a number 10. And what we're going to do is loosen that up first, and we're going to completely take that nut off. And I'll show you why in a second. And again, I'm not using really large ratchets here. I'm using very small wrenches because I don't want to break these. Okay, so this is an actual lock nut. It has a little bit of metal around the top of it, so it is very small, but it is a lock nut. So we take that off first because this bolt actually unscrews. It doesn't just slide in. So we're going to unscrew this. There we go. As you can see, there's a flat spot and then a threaded spot. But when you, on the other side of this, it's actually threaded. So you can't just hold it and pull it out. You have to unthread this as well. Okay, so now the lever is completely loose. And as you can see, I've lubricated this before, but mud has gotten into this a little bit. So there's a little bit of mud and a little bit of grease going on here. So we're going to clean this up. Okay, so it's starting to come clean a little bit. You can see where the clutch lever has rubbed kind of a spot on the bolt where you can see where the lever moves and pivots. Okay, but there's no real problems with this. I don't see any nicks. The bolt is still perfectly round, and there's no issues with that. So with that aside, all right, so here's kind of like the hard spot here. So this cover really doesn't cover like the brake lever, the front brake lever. It just more or less just covers it, but dirt can sometimes get back here. So that's kind of what we're interested in looking at. But for whatever reason, this does not slide off. This actually wraps around to the front here, so you can't really take it off. So what we're gonna do is just kind of peel it back a little bit, and that'll allow us to kind of get into this lever here. All right, now you can see there's the clutch lever, there's the knob, and this is pretty greasy, which is good. That means it's had good lubricant on it the first time. But we're going to wipe all of that off now because that grease is now grease and dirt. All right. Clean the top, clean the bottom. We'll use a screwdriver here to kind of clean up into here a little bit. As you can see, we're definitely grabbing some grease out of there. Trick is to get enough rag in there to give enough pressure for both, to grab the grease on both sides of that. There we go. Again, you guys can skip ahead to see how we put this back together and deal with the handlebars. But some guys like to watch the cleaning part of it. And I'm kind of one of those because I want to learn as much as I can about this because it's of interest. Okay, we're getting clean here. Okay, now there's also, you can't see it and don't think I'd be able to get it with the camera, but there's the switch in here, the clutch switch. You have to make sure when you pull the clutch in, there's a wire here, and it basically tells the computer on the dirt bike that the clutch is pulled in. So you have to make sure that that button works in and out real good. And it does, goes in and out, no issues. So we're good. Okay. Now we want to grab some dirt here. This really isn't that dirty underneath this boot. I don't want to leave the boot folded up for very long because I don't want to get a permanent crease in there. But just enough to be able to get underneath and to clean what we need to. Okay, I'm going to grab some water and we're going to do a little bit more cleaning. So I got a wet rag here and I'm going to just basically grab as much dirt as I can off of this. This is the adjustment for the clutch, the cable in and out. You always want to have enough clutch play or cable play so the clutch doesn't drag. I'm going to turn this a couple of times, but we're going to turn it back as far as we turned it so the adjustment's the same. All right, so now we're going to finish taking this off. All right, obviously this grip is glued on, so we're not going to take it off. It's still in good shape. We're just going to clean the dirt. And now we can, to me, it's a lot easier to clean inside of here when it's attached to the motorcycle. And then once that's all good, then being able to get to all sides of this is easier when you take it off. But just my personal preference. You guys can do it however way you want to. Okay, there's a little bit more dirt on the back side here underneath, since we can't see it, but now that it's flipped over, we can see there's a little bit more. Okay, so that's really clean. That should be, I'm happy with that. And this side is also fairly clean. Okay. And that's pretty much it. Now we're ready to, well, I guess we can, if we want to go crazy with this, I guess it's on the weekend. I had a few things to do, but nothing pressing. So I guess when you have time, you can kind of get a little crazy with this. So we can clean a little bit more on that. Get a little bit more dirt out in between these lugs. But I don't really get too crazy with this part because it's just going to get muddy again. We just want to make sure that we get most of the dirt out for summer. Okay. We are ready to more or less start the assembly, but we still have to grease inside of here. And again, it's going to be a lot easier to do that with this mounted to the handlebar. All right, so we're just going to give this a little snug just to make sure that it doesn't move around on us when we're working. So what I normally do is I try and get a little bit of lube inside of here, because that's basically right, this face and the other face here is going to slide in and out, okay? And there's no real super trick, but this is very light. I'm basically just putting enough on here to put a very light coat of grease. There's no globs or gloops or anything like that. And I like to do both surfaces. So my pinky is small enough to get into this space. We can get into here and basically just lightly lubricate that. All right, so we have our bolt. We're going to, I like to do the bolt a little heavy because when you push it in, it's going to scrape off anyway. You can put as much on there as you feel is necessary. Okay, and then what I like to do is I like to put it through a couple of times, one way and then the other. And then for good measure, I just kind of shove it down in there some more. You just kind of get as much in there as you possibly can. Okay, so there you have it. So now we're ready to stick the bolt through. And again, you'll have to thread it in. And the foot-pounds, the torque spec on this bolt is actually 2.9 pounds. So it's not very much. Okay, so now we're ready for the nut to go on the other side. before we do that, because we drag that through all the grease, there's going to be grease on the back side. So we're basically going to just wipe that excess grease off that we just installed. And now we can install the nut on the back side. Now, being that this is already threaded in, I'm still going to hold this so any leverage that I have on the back is not going to loosen that up. Oop, wrong wrench. Number 10. The back is a number 10. So I can't stress this enough. Small wrenches, not a ratchet. A ratchet just gives you so much mechanical advantage that you could twist bolts apart. Again, this is just 2.9 pounds. There you have it. So that's really all that it takes. It's a very simple procedure, no issues whatsoever. All right, so we're ready to install. Guess it's more of an opinion on how you want to run this. Probably have to maybe loosen this, because I'm thinking maybe I wanted to go this way, or I can go this way. Maybe that's probably going to be the best way, is to run it up underneath. Okay, but again, what I like to do with these clips, one side is the bolt side, or is a nut, so that the threads are on this side. I like to put that on the bottom, and then we put the pass-through section on the top. And what that allows me to do is now I can adjust with a screwdriver where I want my kill switch, what position I like my kill switch. Now I'm the type of guy that likes to put the kill switch kind of vertically. I like to go up a little bit so I don't accidentally hit it if I'm holding on for dear life. So I like to maybe put it up a little bit like that, so I have to really stretch up and then and see, as you can see, it's on the top, so I'm not really like under here trying to get it. It's up on top. And quite honestly, we're dealing with very light sheet metal. Sometimes this moves a little bit, which is fine, because if I bump it, it won't break off. So that gives a little bit of a give. All right, so there you have it. We lubricated the clutch lever. Really wasn't a whole lot of dirt in here to begin with, but we got everything all taken care of. So just for good measure, we're going to take the handlebars off, make sure that they're not damaged in any way. And just because we're here, we might as well take them apart. This is a number 10, and I always start with the front first. Torque specs on these are only 20 pounds, so it's not really that bad. Once you get the front done, back's next. Not that it matters, it's just what I normally do. Now, what I should have told you is that you want to make sure before, my son's probably not going to like this, but I have the video to check before I loosen these. But you're going to want to mark on where you had the handlebars, front, back, obviously side to side, you can judge them on, but obviously there's markings on here that you want to mark these wherever you had your handlebars, so you don't forget them. Whew, that was close. All right, handlebars are free. So Really, there's a little bit of dirt here, but nothing too crazy. Take that out. A little bit of dirt and grease in here. Now we're going to be taking the forks off and redoing the seals, so we're not going to really get too crazy into cleaning those right now. But the bars look good. Being that these hand guards are sometimes finicky, I never take these loose because, as you can see, there's a little bit of rust in there, and quite frankly, it's more of a waste of time, and it'll be very frustrating to reline these hand guards once you take these off. To me, it's like a half an hour, 45-minute process to put these clamps on and to get them to fit on just like they were. So if you leave these clamps on, it's going to save a ton of time later, and there's really no reason to. I'm looking at the handlebars now. I don't see any cracks, no dents or divots or problems of any kind. So this is more or less just cosmetic. No. Okay, so that's all clean. That's dry. Okay, so I want to show you guys there's a difference in these clamps, okay? And I'm hoping that the camera can pick this up. But as you can see, this side is higher than this side. All right, we're stopping the video right here because I need to show you guys something that I remembered when I was starting to put this together. And that is, these clamps are actually marked on what side is the front and what side is the back. So we're zoomed up here on the clamp, and you can see here there is a little punch right in the clamp, and that corresponds with the front and the back. So as you use the manual here, that punch identifies which leg is longer. So you can see there's the punch, and there is the leg that is longer. So when you put this back on the bike, that punch mark goes forward, and that's how you know. So if you can't eyeball it, if it doesn't look right, knowing that there is a punch mark there, you can see it. Now when the bolt is installed, you can't see the punch. So it's underneath the bolt head, so you won't necessarily see it unless you take the bolt off. Okay, so this longer part is going to go to the forward of the bike. Now when you look in the directions, you want to tighten the front, this front part first, and this part where the clamp meets, I'm going to take this off again and show you. Okay, where this flat spot is and where this clamp goes, you will see that this clamp will tighten to the front first, and there won't be any gap here. Now, all you guys that ride mountain bikes or road bikes, and there's the clamp for the handlebars, you have an even space on this side and on this side, and you kind of like tighten it so it's even. This is not the case. What you want to do is, again, the fatter side goes to the front, and you tighten the front first, and then this side gets clamped down to the foot-pounds that's specified. Okay? So just FYI on that. Okay, we want to check this one now. So this is the fatter side. That goes to the forward. Okay, so now these are tight. We're going to leave these loose. Now we need to get our torque wrench because we're dealing with 20 pounds torque spec, and we want to make sure that we don't damage any of this and that we tighten these properly. All right, guys, so I got my torque wrench here, and we're dialing it into 20. Right there. Okay, so I'm going to get these to where I think they were. I think they were a little bit this way, in between. So we'll have to check the video and see how close I am. It helps when you have the handlebars cocked to the side that you're tightening. So obviously it's cocked to the right, so you can use the handlebars as leverage. And we got this at 20 pounds. So we're going to do these first. Okay, so now we can do these. See, now there's no space on the back side here. They're completely clamped down. Big space in the front. Now we can tighten these up. I like to tighten evenly. It's the mechanic in me. I don't like to just crank on one side and then the other. We get close. Do a little at a time. There we go. All right, so now we properly torque those down and the handlebars are complete. Okay guys, you're probably still wondering about the handguard. We're not gonna put them back on, obviously. And we didn't really adjust the clutch lever because again, we gotta sit on the bike and make sure that it's all lined up. And quite honestly, my son's gonna have to sit on it himself and kind of put it back the way he wants. So that is it. We are done with the handlebars. Future videos are going to be electrical. We're gonna take the plugs apart. We're gonna make sure that there's no dirt in the plugs because there are some plugs on this bike that are prone to catch dirt. And we need to make sure that those are clean for the coming year. So if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them below. If you also have a wish, like, hey, cover this, can you take this apart? Can you show me how to do this? Leave the comments below and we will make a video for you. So again, like and subscribe, click the bell so you won't miss more episodes. We're gonna be continuing on this for the next couple of weeks, months, however long it takes to get all the videos done. So thanks for watching guys, and we'll see you soon.